Hello and happy Friday to all out there. Welcome into the PHLY Phillies podcast. Renee Washington, Tyler Zulli, and myself, Jamie Lynch, here with you. We've got a lot to get to on this Friday, including Renee's favorite guest, that swing. We are going to get to our top 5 left fielders in baseball. And let me just give you a little tease of that segment. Left fielders stink.
Yeah.
That's not a good position around Major League Baseball. We'll get to that. We have some Phillies stuff to get to. Our own John Foley is going to join us from Clearwater around 11:40 for the latest there with him and what he's seen in the first couple days of camp and the old-timers walking around. But, Renee, it's Friday. We made it. Any great weekend plans for you?
Nope. I'm just excited for the weekend, crawling to the weekend.
Ready for snow?
Friday Eve was cool. I didn't give a chance to properly shout out those that were saying Happy Friday Eve yesterday in the chat. I'm not ready for the snow that's supposed to happen this weekend. Chris Slemmer, congrats. You're number 1. First in the chat, Mickey Durkin, Ray, Dave P, Jersey Kev.
And no MBD. I was not pooping. We had some technical difficulties. That's why we were behind there. It was not my bubble guts. My guts are fine this morning.
Oh, man. Well, the chat is rolling. You guys are having a serious, in-depth conversation
MLB
yourself.
Poops.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Well, speaking of poops, if you want to check out something that doesn't stink, it's Jamie's made some great cocktails for us.
A poop to a cocktail segue.
There you go. Something that did not stink
folks.
that Jamie did was his cocktail he made yesterday. So we actually this morning dropped the official video for our first of many, many videos that we'll be doing in our segment of mixing it up, which is what I'm going to just start calling it, where every week we'll bring you guys a different Phillies-inspired drink. We'll have cocktails, we'll have beer, we'll have all types of drinks that Jamie's going to be able to tap into his former bartender days and bring, and then I'll just be there to test it and drink it. So I'm winning.
Everybody in the office can sample my cocktails and concoctions. But, yeah, we're going to do that once a week going forward. The first one's up. It's a tequila-based drink. It's very simple to make. And yes, for some reason, I associate baseball with sunshine, beer, and cocktails. So I figured I got this bartending knowledge in my head. Why don't we combine the two and have some fun with it? And people can share their favorite baseball drinks, and we'll come up with some stupid names.
We'll share the recipes. We'll definitely come up with, we pride ourselves on our great nicknames and names. So we'll definitely come up with some great names to the drinks. And you guys can always, of course, join us. We even have in our Discord channel now, there's a specific channel just for our cocktails. Club. Yeah, we've got a cocktail club. Look at us getting fancy.
Now, is it Dave P in the chat wants to know, Renee, are you excited about President's Day weekend? I'm excited because my wife is off Monday, and that means
I actually
less
forgot
daddy
of President's Day weekend.
Me. Is this something that moves the needle?
No, not as much. I'm still right now on the Valentine's Day kick movie-wise. I was just watching some...
Like what?
Valentine's Day movies and stuff.
What are those? I honestly can't.
Movies that are
I know,
around.
But name one.
Okay, there's an actual Valentine's Day, but Hallmark has a whole theme of Valentine's Day movies.
Is there any non-Hallmark things I would know?
Yes. Well, no. Okay, no.
All right, so you're watching
Yesterday I did watch a nice Netflix movie called Players, and it was a baseball-themed love story. Unfortunately, it ended up with a Red Sox-Yankees sighting because it was up in New York, so that part I didn't like. But I've been seeing a lot of baseball-themed rom-coms lately. Huh. So I'm crossing over. I'm not really focused
Jimmy
on
Fallon
President's
one.
Day.
What's that, First Pitch or whatever?
I didn't see that one yet, but it's not the cross.
Isn't that like the OG baseball rom-com?
I mean,
Fever Pitch.
Oh, that
Fever
one.
Pitch.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what that one is, but I know Fever Pitch.
Drew Barrymore?
Oh, yeah, it's a great movie. Fantastic
Never
movie.
seen it, but I know it exists.
Oh,
it's not on Hallmark.
You would not enjoy it.
It's actually a really good movie.
You would not.
I enjoy it.
Oh, okay. Well, if you enjoy it,
I feel like
he's
got a rom-com bone in his body.
He does. And I'm slowly converting Tyler, guys. I'm slowly.
You got
working on
that
him.
rom-com bone.
Holidays.
My
and
wife asked me
rom-coms.
literally like 3 days ago. She's like, "What's your favorite rom-com?" And I'm like,
Fever Pitch. Wasn't that-
I literally,
Oh my
it was one of those
gosh.
situations where you know things and then somebody asks you,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
your mind goes
My cousin Steve
entirely
is a
blank.
huge rom-com guy. I never really crossed into that threshold.
Well, I think
Not
you would
like
enjoy
because I think it's like stupid or anything. It's just
Okay.
like I don't know. It's like
I
scary
think if
movies. I never
you-
watch scary movies. I don't watch rom-coms.
What? This is why when we have our movie conversations, we're so different. I love scary movies and rom-coms and
Yeah.
thrillers. I was just watching 2012 also. Do you
No
remember?
idea.
What?
Yeah, that movie stinks. Movie's so
It
bad.
was about the end of the world.
No.
And it was, and it came out in like 2009, and we actually all thought, well, apparently not all because you guys didn't see it,
No.
that 2012 was going to be the end of the year. And it was Cusack was the main character. What's his first name? John?
John Cusack.
Yeah, he was the main. It's very good.
All right,
Oh
I'll
my
take your word
gosh.
for
I
that.
don't know what
Jamie,
you
you've
guys
been
watch.
challenged, by the way,
Oh, challenge to what?
to break Wade Boggs' record on the way down to Clearwater.
51 beers
That's
in
Wade
2.5
Boggs, baby.
hours.
That's baseball. You think they got chicken in Philly?
That's a great. It's always sunny.
my
One of the
gosh.
all-time episodes.
Oh, it's so funny when they try to do the Wade Boggs challenge.
Oh.
That shit. Did you
How
ever
many,
get
how,
into It's
how many
Always Sunny?
beers can you order?
I don't drink
I
beer.
don't know. No one's ever asked that question before.
No, but did you ever watch It's Always Sunny in Philly?
Yes,
Okay.
I did. Oh, yeah.
They do the Wade Boggs episode.
Yes.
Well, apparently Andre the Giant drank like there was a flight to Europe where I gotta look it up. It was like an insane amount of beers. He put Wade Boggs to shame. Andre the Giant flight beers record.
Chris, by the way, is saying The Natural is a great baseball rom-com also. Yeah, listen, we got
Okay.
to share some rom-coms and movies for Jamie because you're missing out.
Here is
The Wedding
it
Singer.
says you won't find Wedding Singer's great. If that's a rom-com,
Oh.
then I'm in.
Okay, there
Julia
you go.
Julia.
There you go.
You won't find it in the Guinness Book of World Records, but Andre the Giant holds the world record for largest number of beers consumed in a single setting. They were standard 12-ounce bottles of beer, and during a 6-hour flight, Andre drank 119 of them.
Oh,
So that's almost
that's disgusting.
6 hours, 120. That's almost 20 beers an hour.
119 beers does.
He's pretty
break
much like
down
19 and a
to-
half, 19.7
Yeah,
beers per
you
hour.
literally drank 13, and yeah, that's a lot of
That's
beer.
a lot of beers.
It's a lot of beer. I will say I didn't appreciate, guys. Okay, first of all, the new Space Jam and the old.
I heard the new one sucks.
I appreciate the old Space Jam, Mickey. I know.
OG
It's-
Space
I
Jam.
don't like when they remake movies just to remake movies. So
Hollywood's out
I
of
will
ideas.
stay on that hill and die on that hill myself. Session 9, I will look out for that, Dave. But also to our point about planes, as we're going off the rails from the start here, I texted in our thread yesterday because I was super excited. Like, ooh, we finally got the details of our flights for Clearwater.
Yeah, don't care.
And I'm hoping that we could all sit together and we could watch movies, we could play games. Like I play cards on the plane.
Renee, I
We
didn't want
can
to.
also drink.
I didn't want to
and-
text this to you because I felt it was impersonal. I needed to tell you in person. I will be putting my headphones on and going to sleep for the entirety of the flight.
It's only like a 2-hour
You
flight.
will not speak to me once the wheels leave
Okay,
the
what about in
ground
the
because
airport?
I am going to be like
Airport on
slumped.
game. But
Oh,
once
yeah,
once they
airport,
call your
absolutely.
zone, headphones go in and I shut it down.
Yeah, I will absolutely have a beer too and hang out with you in the airport. But once we're on the plane and wheels are up, I am
No,
knocked
I got
out
that
cold.
vibe because I was super excited in our thread and nobody really was reciprocating. And I picked up on what you're putting down. So you're saying I shouldn't bring out my cards on the flight? You don't want to play like Uno or something?
Card game. I go mute mode on a flight. I don't know. It's just close quarters.
Okay. See,
I put in my
I only
headphones.
do that if I'm traveling
No
by
eye
myself.
contact with people.
If I'm traveling by myself, I'm headphones. I've got the pillow. I've got a whole thing. I bring a blanket and everything because I'm always easily cold. I'm napping. I'm watching a movie. I'm just in the zone. But if I'm going with people, I feel like we should chat and watch.
Well, this might be a
movies.
little bit of a party vibe on the Philly Sports Trip flight, so maybe things will pick up. I promise nothing, but I leave myself open to.
I promise you beers pre-flight. That's what I'll give you for
Well, guys,
sure.
maybe you can join us down in Clearwater for our PHLY road trip down. March 13th to the 18th, maybe you'll even be on the plane with us, and we can sit next to each other and play card games or watch movies. We can throw back some drinks. You know, they had the cute little shots that you can take on the plane. Apparently, I'm solo dolo on this flight. I'll find somebody else to have fun with.
You'll be all right,
you guys.
All right, let's get to some of the Phillies talk. I guess that's why we're here today.
Yeah.
On this Friday of spring training actually happening. The full squad reports on Monday, although most of the guys are there. And if you're not following along with John's account, he's tweeting a bunch of videos from his personal account at 2008 Phils with a Z at the end, and our account, PHLY Phillies. He was posting videos of Trey Turner talking ball with Larry Boa today.
Yes.
Charlie Manuel, absolutely awesome to see him back at camp. And allegedly, the team gave him a standing ovation when he walked into the locker room. And that's a goosebumps type of moment right there. So really happy for Charlie that he's back at his favorite place in the world, which is behind the batting cages during a Phillies practice. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. And it's just those moments that remind you how much this family that you build in sports, it's bigger than the game itself.
Well, they're together more than half the year.
Exactly. And that's one of those moments where it's like,
definitely more than half.
You know, for Charlie, so happy to see him back. I'm excited for us to get to hang with him at, you know, during our time down in Clearwater as well. But, you know, it's bigger than baseball. He's Uncle Charlie, and it's great to see that he's doing much better. So I that is a goosebumps moment for sure.
Yeah. So a lot of cool stuff. Make sure you're following along with John. He's going to be joining us around 11:40. Now, this morning, I thought we were going to open the show talking about Alec Bohm's arbitration settlement. And there's a really cool story on, I believe, The Athletic about the 4 guys. I want to say they're Texas A&M arbitration law specialists that actually oversee these cases. Yeah, pretty fascinating job, isn't it?
Yeah.
But Alec Bohm filed for $4 million in year 1 of arbitration. The Phillies countered at 3.4. I know it sounds stupid, $600,000. This is the norm in baseball. I don't think players take it personally. I just think it's part of the business model, although it does seem lame.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
We'll see. Do they settle in the middle? Does he get the $4 million? I think he outperformed probably the threshold some because it's like a tiered system.
Yeah.
You know, he had 100 RBIs last year, did really well, improved defensively. Maybe he'll get a little more. I'd be surprised if he got the full 4, though.
Right. Now, as we know, Alec Bohm's arbitration hearing was yesterday in Arizona. And as you mentioned, both sides kind of on the opposite, but at least it's not a huge difference. That's the encouraging part. Now, Jim Duquette on Major League Baseball Network Radio did talk about how it's most likely going to happen where we there's a setup for a multi-contract extension for Alec Bohm. Honestly, in today's market, with the way that things are going, I don't mind Alec Bohm wanting more and pushing for more. We've seen in the past with previous Phillies conversations around arbitration where there was JT Realmuto, who did not have a chance to have his number met and actually fell short. He wanted to get paid $12.4 million. They settled on 10. We saw Ryan Howard, who filed at $10 million, and the Phillies had offered him $7, but he did win that. So we've seen it in the past with the Phillies, and we've seen both sides of it. So for Alec Bohm, who still has 2 years remaining of arbitration eligibility after 2024, you know, go ahead, shoot your shot, try to see if you can get some numbers that you feel like are more suitable for what you feel you deserve. And as you mentioned, it's not a huge gap, 3.4 million to 4 million. They should be able to figure out something in between and negotiate, and that should be getting done with sooner than later.
We'll probably hear this morning, I would assume.
I mean, if it happened yesterday, and I mean, I imagine they shouldn't be dragging their feet too long on this.
One of the other things that came out yesterday, courtesy of Todd Zulli, Brandon Marsh thinks he actually injured the knee originally. Last year, if you remember, they had a series in Cincinnati versus the Hot Reds, and he made a play against the wall and banged his knee into the wall. They think he just played through it, and it was kind of undiagnosed. If I'm not mistaken, I think he might have missed like a game or 2 after that. But regardless, he thinks he hurt it last year, so hopefully, you know, again, reiterated, he'll be ready to go opening day, yada, yada, yada. Looks good. He's already walking and moving on it. So I don't think it's a huge deal there, but I do think it leads to the question of outfield depth.
Yeah.
And why we've discussed Whit Merrifield a bunch this week. And Tyler, the TV's back on now. So I don't know what's happening there. But that's why Whit Merrifield, because we don't see ourselves, Tyler, but we can see the TV on. Whit Merrifield, why he makes sense is because, we've talked about it. He fills an insurance policy at several positions on the diamond. So, Brandon Marsh is ready to go, but I think you have Christian Pache, Nick, don't call me Jake Cave, or Jake, don't call me Nick Cave,
it's
whatever
funny
it is.
because you get his name right when you're not trying to get it right, is what I noticed. Every time Jamie try to make a joke about it. Yeah.
It's Jake.
It's Jake.
Yeah, I got it.
There's only one
Jake.
Nick.
Nick is an emo Australian songwriter.
Okay.
Well, he is. He's quite famous.
Yeah.
But Brandon Marsh says he'll be ready. Thinks he heard it last year in Cincinnati. And
being around, and I know he's talking, and he was interviewed yesterday, actually, talking about just being around the guys, seeing their faces, how much it really lifts you up and gets you excited. It's a bummer because it's where you have the first day of school and everybody's excited and coming back, thrilled to show off what they've been doing in the off season, and you're kind of there like, well, I'm here, but I'm not fully here. I'm not able to participate yet. I'm not able to play. But to hear his optimism, and as we know with knees, typically you do get those lingering knee injuries where, you have that, 2022 collision with the wall, and now it just kind of lingers and never fully gets treated. So happy that Marsh was able to get his knee, that's procedure done, get his knee better.
Later.
Exactly,
yeah.
Get it out the way. But it did immediately remind us of the depth of this team and how there is a need to make sure that they have depth, especially in the outfield.
Yeah, and Corey in the chat says, Whit probably wants to start somewhere. He most certainly does, but Whit Merrifield needs to also realize, he's basically your average baseball player. He's a super utility, but his WAR is nothing impressive. Like, he's not Whit Merrifield of 2017 anymore.
Yeah.
And he probably can start 3 to 4 times a week here with some additional at-bats. So, it's not a bad situation to be in here in Philadelphia.
And, Jamie, there is someone that can start your day 3 and 4 times a day out of the week, and that's Bagels & Co. Over at Bagels & Co., they are Brooklyn-style bagels made in Philly with Philly love. They give you huge bagels, the biggest bagels in the city. Their bagels are fresh. They have a wide variety of bagels, specifically 15 to 20 different bagels you can choose from daily. They have seasonal bagels. I don't know if they have a President's Day bagel, but they did have Valentine's Day. They've got St. Patrick's Day. They also have Philly sports-themed bagels and cream cheeses because they have 30 different cream cheeses, the largest cream cheese variety you will ever find anywhere. At least I haven't seen another place with more. So over at Bagels & Co. with 30 different flavors of cream cheeses and schmears. You can also get those Philly sports-themed ones, seasonal specific. They've got blueberry cream cheese. They've got all different types of flavors for you outside of just the regular plain cream cheese. Now at Bagels & Co. what also makes them great is, aside from delicious sandwiches, large bagels, meaty sandwiches like that pork roll and egg that I'm still dreaming about, they also have great prices. So it's fantastic to kickstart your day. There it is. In this day and age, to be able to start your morning for breakfast, or even if you want it for lunch or dinner, to have something that's delicious, that's hearty, that's filling, and also a great price. So giving you that mom and pop shop feel, but also giving you an affordable price that you can make sure you're not breaking the bank, overspending to start off your day. So for the best Brooklyn-style bagels made right in here in Philly, you can head on over to thebagelsandco.com, find the location nearest you, and check out what they have to offer. Lots of bagel options, lots of cream cheeses and schmears, lots of sandwiches that you can check out right at Bagels & Co. And yes, Mickey, I have heard of the Bagel Nook in Princeton. Princeton's got some great PJs, Pancake House, and Bagel Nook, but they're not paying us to talk about them. So until they do, it's all Bagels & Co.
Yeah. So my wife and I recently have been talking about our summer concert lineup and what shows we want to, get to, and therefore we're, using the Game Time app to do it. Mm-hmm. I told her today one of our bands we want to see this summer is Goose, and the tickets are just going on sale this morning. And I said, we'll get them on the Game Time app, because the Game Time app is the fastest growing ticket app and marketplace in the country, and they have tickets for whatever you want to go to. Concerts, comedians, sporting events, theater events, whatever it is you want to find. Ticket buying should never be stressful. Like going to see,
might be stressful.
Yeah, the game might be stressful, but going to see your favorite band, your favorite theater performance. I saw the MJ show is in town. That should never be stressful. You want to have fun, and Game Time is going to help it be a stressless situation. It's the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all of your favorite shows in town with killer deals on last-minute tickets and the best price guarantee. You can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for all the fun you're going to have. They have flash deals, last-minute tickets, easy to find and buy tickets, image of your seat views depending on what show you're going to. You might want to know what your seat view looks like, low price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection. Basically, Game Time has your back. It's the fastest growing ticket app in the country for a reason. Buy tickets in a matter of seconds. 2 taps and you're set. Tickets are sent directly to your phone, so you never have to dig through your email. Tickets also make a great holiday gift. So snag the tickets without the stress. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Just, again, create an account, redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So we'll hear about Bohm shortly. And Corey in the chat is saying, Merrifield was an all-star last year. There's a reason he's not signed, and hopefully the Phillies can capitalize on it.
Well, it's supposed to happen this weekend.
This weekend
Today
is
is
the deadline,
Friday.
the fake deadline he put on it. Yeah.
So, listen, we keep hearing that there are 5 teams out there that Whit Merrifield has been fielding offers from, and that he's getting closer to signing with one of them. And the expectation is as soon as this weekend, we will get the definitive answer for where Whit Merrifield is going to be going next. Honestly, it'd be great to see him in Philly. Various reports from various outlets have linked the Phillies as the favorite or, one of the front-runner teams of the 5. But we'll see, because we've heard that before.
Yeah,
and
we heard
anything
Liam
is
Hendricks
possible.
was going to sign yesterday, and we haven't heard yet where he's making his decision. We'll see if the Phillies are one of the teams interested in him. He's not going to be pitching this year. Maybe later in the year, but you don't really want to count on him for a role this year.
Yeah.
But if you sign him to a 2-year deal, you could get a pretty good arm in the bullpen for next year now. We'll see if the Phillies have interest.
And last thing on Merrifield, he did mention, aside from his price point being around that $6.4 million, which is a great bargain deal in itself, he did mention that he's also willing to play anywhere. He knows his preference. It might be second base. I know people were talking about him wanting to be an everyday starter or start 3 or 4 days out the week, but he also is open to, at least it seems, playing anywhere and willing for whatever team is interested in him to step into whatever role they need. So that's an additional positive for the utility man, Whit Merrifield.
Yeah. So yesterday, with all the Wheeler contract extension talk, I took a look at, the 2 names that he's most often kind of compared to. SiriusXM did top 10 pitchers in baseball yesterday and released it. Zach Wheeler came in at number 3 behind Spencer Strider, which, look, his strikeout numbers are always going to, have him high on lists. But as we know, Zach Wheeler's a better playoff performer than Spencer Strider, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. And then, of course, Garrett Cole, number 1. So Zach Wheeler is certainly at the top of his game.
Definitely.
Now, the 2 guys he's compared to a lot on those short-term, high annual average salary deals are Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. Now, those guys were around 40. I think they were like 38, 39 when they signed them. They're going into their 40s, so that's why that number is lower. Zach Wheeler's going to be 34 this year. You don't want to go too deep into a guy's 30s until he's shown you he can do it, which Verlander and Scherzer had. So if he was offered the equivalent of those deals, he would essentially be getting offered the Max Scherzer deal, which was a 3-year, $130 million deal. Now, Scherzer and Verlander each averaged $43.3 million a year. So if Zach Wheeler, Dombrowski said they want to get it done, Wheeler said they want to get it done. Apparently, there's a soft deadline in place of opening day, and then negotiations will get shut back down. And allegedly, that means he could just hit the market if it's not done before then. But 3 years, $130 million for Zach Wheeler. That's a large check to write, but I kind of think you're forced into it. Now, if you're Aaron Nola, I wonder how much that chaps your ass, because Aaron Nola's annual average salary is $24 million a year. Now, very good. It's not something to sneeze at. But if all of a sudden, and look, everybody will be like, oh, Nola's just the same guy here. Yeah, right. Okay, they all compete. They all know what each other makes. If you know that Zach Wheeler is making, seriously, almost $20 million more a year than you, that's gotta
stop having a ride for 4th inning.
Well, I mean, this is an even number year, so Aaron Nola is going to be really good this year. He struggles in the odd number years.
Listen,
but $20 million a year more, that's gonna get up his ass a little bit. That's just human nature.
It will, and that's
$20 million more.
I know. In general, though, this is why we even had the conversation around Bryce Harper and his contract talks, because everybody's looking each year, the numbers are getting higher and higher and higher. And there's a larger gap between what one person signed for to the next. I mean, it's Aaron Nola to Zach Wheeler. It's Bryce Harper to a lot of people, where it's like, wait a minute, what I signed for back then no longer seems that exciting because I'm seeing the other numbers that players are getting around the league and even within my own team. Now, Zach Wheeler and John, who will be joining us shortly, posted a nice video on Twitter of Zach signing autographs. He's a man of the people. He loves it here in Philly. He's made it known as recently as this week. Rob was talking about him as well. This is where he wants to be. This is where he wants to stay. So I think realistically that 3 years of $40 million AAV for Zach, around that number ballpark, sign it, take it, do it. Let's make it happen. Let's move on to the next, because it seems everybody's in agreement, knows what we all want. Let's just make it happen.
All right.
Time.
Let's get to our top left fielders before we get to John, because I don't want us to be going an hour and 30 minutes today.
And we will not go an hour and 30.
And if we didn't get to the left fielders before John, it would be a disaster. So we're going to get to this because we didn't get to it yesterday because we had a lot going on. We're doing our top 5 positional group rankings around Major League Baseball. So far, we've done right fielders and center fielders. Today, we're going to address left fielders. Now, the elephant in the room is I fucked up.
Okay.
I didn't project ahead when we started this contest. I would have had Corbin Carroll in my top 5, probably over Kyle Tucker for right fielders, which is where he's going to be playing this year. When I was doing my homework, I was just thoughtlessly, he played the most games in left last year. So I have Corbin Carroll number 1 on my left fielder list, even though he's going to be a right fielder this year. I made a 6th to make a unofficial top 5, but I'm going to fall on the sword, and I done messed up, and I put Corbin Carroll in left field, and even though he's going to be a right fielder this year. So just want to get out in front of that.
Second caveat, by the way. I know a lot of lists have Yordan Alvarez as a top left fielder.
Yes.
We are considering Yordan Alvarez a DH. You're not going to see him on any of our lists because he is a designated hitter according to us.
Yes, and he will be the number 1 designated
hitter. A third caveat
hitter.
to your first and your second caveat really quickly. I know, we've got to add all these disclaimers because people are like misunderstanding our list. These are projected going into 2024. So it's based on what we think who we think is going to be the top ranked players in 2024 based on the positions, as you are both mentioning with Yordan as a great example and Corbin, where their team has currently listed them for playing in that position. Yes. Okay, so let's go. Number 5.
All right, I'll kick it off. Number 5, I have Brandon Nimmo. Now, we all kind of hate that name because of his time with the Mets, but Brandon Nimmo was really pretty damn good last year. The left field position is kind of lame. Now, because I mess up with Corbin Carroll, I'll also slash my 6th or 5th because Corbin Carroll doesn't really count. So, theoretically, Brandon Nimmo is the 4th. So my 6th left fielder, which is actually 5, is either Christian Yelich or Chas McCormick. Okay. But at number 5, I have Brandon Nimmo.
Lots of slashes and asterisks
right now.
You
mess up,
I like how you are putting it all out there.
Yeah, so that's my 6th, which is really 5th. So Brandon Nimmo would be 4th.
What is your poop thing today? All right, Christian Yelich is my number 5, actually. Listen, we've seen the interesting thing for all of these lists that I feel like I come up with for my guys is these are former MVP players that maybe have had an injury-plagued season, and I'm expecting a bounce-back year. Christian Yelich, specifically in 2023, had more of an up year. It was a better season for him. Finished the year batting .278, 19 homers, OPS of .818. On the defensive side, I thought it was just solid. So although he, has had some ups and downs in his career, I think this year we're going to get him as a number 5 left fielder.
Tyler, you're number 5.
Guys, can I tell you how much I struggled with, projection versus reality? in the sense that I really, really struggled with.
Birds aren't real. Don't beat yourself up over it.
Fair enough. I really, really struggled with how do I put young guys on this list, like projecting their careers, because it was a really difficult time for me to not put Evan Carter on this list, despite the fact that he only played a handful of games. I think the kid's going to be a stud, but it was a very small sample size and an elite level performance at the highest level. But for me, I am going to start this thing off with Stephen Kwan. And I think that Stephen Kwan's value primarily comes from the defensive side of things. His glove is elite. The Guardians have a really elite pairing in left and center field defensively between Stephen Kwan and Miles Straw. Now, Miles Straw can't hit. Stephen Kwan can. Kwan hit 278 last year. I think that he finally is starting to kind of come into his own offensively a little bit. To me, he's the type of guy that goes undervalued because of the fact that he plays for the Guardians and he plays in the AL Central. And I think that that's unfair to a player of his caliber. I really like Stephen Kwan's game, and I'm not sure he's peaked just yet. I think he can get a little bit better. I'm going to put Stephen Kwan at number 5 to start my list.
Well, I'll take your torch and run with it because number 4 on my list is Stephen Kwan. 3.6 WAR last year, which is probably a little better than most people would realize. As you said, defensively, he's just a wizard. He added 20-plus stolen bases last year. Maybe that's something that can grow closer to that 30 mark if the Guardians use him well. And batted 268, like, you know, not a slub defensively. He's never going to give you much pop or power. But I think Stephen Kwan is a underrated left fielder around baseball.
All right, my number 4, and Kwan was someone I considered for my list, but he's actually not on my list at all. He's like in that next 6, 7, 8 tier. But not my number 4, Brian Reynolds, and you may be wondering why. There's been some question marks around Brian Reynolds. A 5.9 WAR in 2021, then a 2.9 WAR in 22, a 2.4 WAR in 2023. His defensive WAR, a negative 0.5 that we saw with the Pirates. Now, for Brian Reynolds, I do feel like he's someone that we have seen him at his best, you know, looking back a couple years ago specifically. And we've seen the drop-off of Brian Reynolds. And much like Christian Yelich, left field's a weird position in general. It's hard to figure out who's going to be where because it's been all over the place, in my opinion. But I think that Brian Reynolds is going to get an up year this year. I think he's going to improve on the defensive side. He has hit around 25 homers a year. And I think Brian Reynolds is number 4. Not confident in this, but I'm going with it.
Not confident in this. That really instills confidence in me for this
Left
next
field
one.
is really tough. Oh my Lord.
My 4 and 3 were toss-ups to me. I think you could make a case that either of these two guys could be in either one of the spots. I decided to go with the player with more, I think, path to more growth, despite the fact that my 4 is not like he's old, but I think maybe what we valued him as a young guy when he won the Rookie of the Year with the Tampa Bay Rays is a little bit over expectation. I'm going to go Randy Arozarena at number 4. That 250, 260 average is probably where you expect to see him. You see his numbers have dropped batting average-wise from 280 in that shortened season in 2020. When he wins Rookie of the Year in 21, he's down to 270. 2022, he's in the 260s. Last year, he was down to 250. And yes, he was an all-star last year, but I think that this is the type of player that Randy Arozarena probably is. High OBP, a 260-ish hitter, 20 to 25, maybe peaking up towards 30 home runs. He's going to steal you some bags. He is the epitome of cool. And I think that helps him for sure.
It's part of why I can't quit him.
And I think that there's something to be said for a guy that posts an 11 WAR over the course of 5 seasons, and really it's a 10 WAR over the course of 3 seasons. I really like Randy Arozarena's game. The guy ahead of him, I think projects a little bit higher for me, and it's the only reason he's at 4 and my next player's at 3.
Yeah, so I have Randy Arozarena at 3. As you said, you know, playoff, like he's one of the few Rays that shows up in the postseason. He's got that swag. He's got that coolness. I almost toyed with going higher. As Tyler said, he had a 365 on base last year. Insane. For a guy with the 30-plus home run potential. He's a fun player to watch. I think he's got kind of that electricity. I toyed with putting him right behind Corbin Carroll at number 2, even though Corbin Carroll's a right fielder. I messed up. Randy Arozarena, number 3 for me.
Yeah, I'm going Mr. Clutch, from leading Team Mexico in the World Baseball Classic over Team USA to then also being that spark plug for the Rays. Randy Arozarena is also my number 3, because I do agree with you guys, and you've already hit on everything. So I'm just going to say ditto and ditto. And yes, Randy is number 3, the strong at bats, the strong defensive side, and he should be that third best left fielder.
If Tampa ever decides to sell him, which they do with all their great players, I would do bad things to get Randy Arozarena in Citizens Bank Park.
We have talked about him, and I remember you saying
that. Tyler, number 3 for you.
My number 3 is Renee's number 4, I believe you had him at, and it's the guy that I had a toss-up between him and Arozarena. It's Brian Reynolds. And I think the reason that I go Reynolds over Arozarena is I just feel a little bit more confident that Reynolds' game is not fully complete yet. And I'm not to say that Arozarena's isn't either, but I think you're seeing a continued. I think you could see a continued ascension or a resurgence to an ascension, like you talked about, Renee, from that 302, 395, 22 split 2021, where he was an all-star and everything really clicked. And listen, a 6.5 WAR that season, an offensive WAR that season, is probably an anomaly, but this guy can, I think, be much closer to the 4 WAR that he posted in 2022. I think he's a 30 home run type caliber player, and if I'm taking defense between Arozarena and Reynolds, they're pretty even. They're both about league average, slightly behind. So that really doesn't play too much for me. Obviously, Arozarena is going to steal more bags. This is just a personal choice for me. I like Reynolds a little bit. I like Reynolds' complete game a little bit more than Arozarena, but it was a toss-up.
Yeah, I feel that. That was my tear-up, too.
My number 2 is Brian Reynolds, and Tyler pretty much just covered it all. I think he has a higher upside than Arozarena, as you hit on, Renee. Down, kind of down season from the year prior where he was excellent. I'm betting on him getting back to that 2021 excellent type of year, because I think when he's on, like, he is that 5 tool, potential every day, just like lockdown left fielder. Really, really good. The fact that I have Corbin Carroll ahead of him when I messed up, like, is Brian Reynolds really the best left fielder in baseball? Like, is that what I'm saying? That's how kind of weird left field is. It's center and right are loaded with talent, and then left field has become like kind of, when I was growing up, right field was the weaker of the two. Like, you always kind of put like the worst player, because kids can't hit opposite field. But like right field was always that. Now it seems to be left field, at least in the majors. So who's your number 2?
All right. Well, I like that we have similar names, just in different spots. And I'm going with somebody that many might underrate a little bit, Brandon Nimmo, as my number 2. Listen, every season he's been improving, in my opinion. I know you had him lower down on your list, Jamie. But if you look at his numbers, in every full season when healthy, he has not had an OPS below 800, consistently been able to get on base. He finished 2023 with that 274 batting average. But since 2021, his numbers have been improving, and he's been able to stay healthy. So I think a healthy Brandon Nimmo, obviously he is moving to left field since Harrison Bader is going to be playing center field. And I think Brandon Nimmo right now, the way that he's been improving and his numbers have been on the positive, his consistency, his ability to add to the Mets lineup in a number of ways, he's number 2 for me.
Tyler? Number 2?
Yeah, I'm not going to add a whole lot more because Brandon Nimmo is my number 2 as well.
You too.
I think that maybe you can add him to the list.
Had him at 5.
You can add him to the list of 4, 3, and 2 of guys that you could interchange in any capacity. I think that moving to left field is not going to hinder him in any way. He was really strong in center last year. You get Harrison Bader, who is a better defender than Nimmo is, and I think that maybe you get a chance to see Nimmo be more cautiously aggressive in spots because he knows he has Bader to his left, and I think maybe that may help him defensively just a little bit. I don't think that any of these 3 guys are wrong at 2, 3, and 4, so I'm not going to add too much. I'm going Brandon Nimmo at number 2 as well.
All right, my number 1. Told you I messed up. I put Corbin Carroll there. He'd be a top 5 right fielder if he was left field, which he was the majority of last year. That's switching for him. He'd be the number 1 left fielder. The kid's phenomenal. I didn't want to short him out of right field because he's, the rookie of the year, and he looks like this kid is damn electric. So I have him number 1, even though he's going to be playing the opposite side this year.
And now I'm concerned because my number 1 is not even on your list at all, Jamie. And Tyler, I'm intrigued to see if he's on yours. I'm going Ian Happ, actually. Now, Ian Happ, we saw 154 games for him in left field last season, an OPS of 112, won his second consecutive Gold Glove. I think Ian Happ is someone I've seen, weirdly enough, fluctuate between lists that have come out where he's on some top 10 lists. He's not on lists at all. But Ian Happ, in my opinion, is someone that has the all-around complete game, and also another one that's improved in all areas of his game, hitting for a higher average, playing better defense. His power's been there since 2021. And the Gold Glover Ian Happ is my number one overall, because I just can't look past his improvements in his stats and the numbers that he had, even in 2023, a WAR of 3, 248 batting average, 21 homers. Ian Happ, number one.
Who you got, Tyler?
Yeah, I think Ian Happ's a good choice for a top 5. He probably sits just outside of the top 5 for me, along with Chas McCormick.
Yeah, Chas was my 7th.
This is
My lists are all over.
maybe
Westchester's finest.
Maybe this is hypocritical for what I just said about Evan Carter and why he's not on my list, because my number 1 left fielder is a projected decision here, and maybe I'm giving a little bit of love to the hometown kid. Maybe I just think that this kid is going to be a star in the making. A player that neither of you two had on your list sits number 1 on my list. It's Colorado Rockies' Nolan Jones. Near 300 hitter last year. Again, I know it's a small sample size. I think this kid is going to exponentially get better. Yes, he plays in a hitter-friendly ballpark. I understand the numbers get inflated when you play at Coors Field, but I think that this kid is on the cusp of being a very legit star. And yes, Holy Ghost guy. He's a local kid.
He's a Holy Ghost kid. I didn't realize.
Had to give him a little bit of love, but
I almost went to Holy Ghost.
I genuinely think that Nolan Jones could be a star in the making in the next couple of seasons for the Rockies.
Awesome.
Well,
so
let me rephrase that. He could be a star in the making and then get traded to somebody else where he succeeds.
So Chas McCormick and Nolan Jones locally. We got left fielders on lockdown here in the Delaware Valley. All right, let's get down to Clearwater, Florida, as our own John Foley has been doing a tremendous job cranking out some content from Phillies spring training. He joins us now. Now, Tyler, is John on? Okay.
Yes, he is.
I can't see you, John, but I can hear you. Welcome in from Clearwater. What is happening down at camp today? Well, I want to throw my computer out the window. We'll try this again in a minute, John. But we're just having some technical difficulties today because that TV is stupid and I want to punch it. Like all those 49er fans.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Have you seen all the reactions? Half of them are fake.
They're
like
annoying.
staged. Oh, wait, I hear something.
State testing. Can you hear me?
There we go.
Sergeant John Foley is with us now. He's got the aviators on. All right. What's going on down in Clearwater? Fill us in. Give us some positives.
Wait, John, are you sitting? Are you sitting right outside of Frenchie's?
Yeah, I'm waiting for it to open. It might be a while, but I'll be the first one here in a few weeks. when they start serving drinks. No, it's great. There's there's pretty much a full empty ballpark here at our disposal. There was some light work down on the field right now. Looks like some base running practice. There was a little bit of ad hoc batting practice over there earlier today. There's you can really feel the energy picking up. More and more guys rolling in, not just the pitchers and catchers, and getting in work wherever they can. We saw Trey Turner and Bryson Stott working on ground balls over on one field. Saw Edmundo Sosa. He was also over there with those guys working on fielding. Also saw him taking some batting practice over here. I can see even from Frenchie's looking completely across the other side of the ballpark. I can see Carlos De La Cruz, the 6'8" frame, putting in some work on the base paths right now. So there's good energy in the ballpark. There's a lot going on. You can feel the activity is starting to ramp up, and Monday the full squad will be here, and it'll ramp up even more.
Yeah, and John, also known as Tom Cruise, according to Mickey Durkin in the chat. You're giving some Tom Cruise vibes as well. Listen, John, you're mentioning the energy there. I'm curious to know the vibes. What's it like as more and more guys are trickling in and, taking the field? What's the vibes like? And you mentioned the energy of, that you're seeing from the team being back out training.
Yeah, I mean, the vibes are immaculate. I mean, everybody's happy. What is there not to be happy about? I mean, the weather's great. Hopes are high for a terrific season. You've got guys showing up, seeing friends that they haven't seen since last season ended. So it's they're professionals. They're taking their work seriously, or they're getting their work in. But it's also a little bit of a party here.
Yeah, John. Apparently Charlie Manuel got a standing ovation from the ball club when he entered the spring training facility. I for one, like, I'm a sucker for bloodlines in football. I'm a sucker for seeing the old generation coaching and teaching the new generation of Phillies. You had a picture of Larry Bowa and Trey Turner going on there. Charlie's back behind the backstop. How involved are these guys with the day-to-day practices? It seems like they're just baseball rats that can't leave.
They really are. I think the Phillies organization does a terrific job, maintaining their historical figures and keeping them involved and keeping them around. I can see Charlie right now. He's out here on the field, walking along the warning track. He's such a resource. First of all, he looks great. He looks terrific. The standing ovation, that's a heartwarming thing. But Charlie's got a lot of baseball left in him, a lot of baseball knowledge to pass on to these guys here. And you see him everywhere. I saw him 5 minutes ago over at one of the practice fields, and now here I see him walking around here within the ballpark itself. So Charlie's moving around good. Yeah, you saw on Twitter, you can see some footage of Boa. He's hitting grounders out the guys and giving advice. And you can't really put a value on that, to have Trey Turner practicing his craft, and he's got Larry Bowa right there in his ear telling him what he's doing wrong. So it's great.
I love that. I love that. Now, John, my last thing for you, as you've obviously been watching, and it's like syllabus week. Everybody's easing back. They're working back in. It's just gradually progressing back in terms of this bullpen sessions and overall training. I know you've been posting videos of Garrett Stubbs and Zach Wheeler, and different guys interacting with fans, and Charlie Manuel, different, all the sights and sounds you're seeing. But what stands out to you the most that you've seen, especially in the last maybe 24 hours, about this group and how spring training has started?
I would say maybe the professionalism, the sort of getting down to business. This is a squad that's sometimes it's been frustrating to us at times that there haven't been many new faces, but this is a squad that they all know each other. There's not a lot of new guys. They know the drills. Everything's sort of running smoothly like clockwork. And you can tell they're here for business. They're on a mission. And there's only one goal this year. There's no consolation prize. This isn't one of those seasons from 5 years ago where they're just looking to make the playoffs. You can see it that they're here to put in the work to go all the way this year. It's World Series or bust.
So, John, is there much chatter or hubbub going around the media down there about potential signings? There's been some alluding to the fact by Dave Dombrowski, still adding around the edges, not really in the trade market per se, but Whit Merrifield's out there, Liam Hendricks is out there, Eddie Rosario, a couple outfielders that could help this team. Is there any buzz down there about potentially still adding to this roster come Monday, or do you think this is more or less what we're going to see?
Well, there's certainly a lot of buzz around the writers amongst ourselves, trying to figure out if some of these moves are going to happen. Everyone's trying to pry information out of Dave best they can. He's of course going to be tight-lipped. I'm sure there's some talks going on. I do think we haven't had fire yet, but we're getting more and more smoke. If something were to happen with Merrifield, Jordan Montgomery, any of these guys, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if it were going to happen, this is the way you start to feel. This is how it would go, right? Like first, there's the sort of abstract rumors like the Phillies might be a fit, they're a sleeper. then you hear things a little more concrete, that there have been talks between camps. And now whether it leads to something or not, I think it really depends. I definitely get the impression that the Phillies have dug in their heels on the prices that they're willing to jump in at for some of the bigger names. And, if those markets fail to develop the way the players want, they could end up on the Phillies. I don't think they're being super aggressive on that front for the big names. I do think that, reading between the lines of a lot of the quotes we've collected here this week, I would expect, some of these position players to shake loose. That what Dombrowski's been indicating is that, and Rob Thompson mentioned this as well. There's a lot of guys still out there. It's while they still got a lot of room for additional players in camp, they do expect that not every one of these sort of marginal starters is going to be able to get that starting job they're looking for once they realize that and their agents realize that. I think the Phillies are confident that their offer of part-time employment, maybe 2 starts a week, pinch hit at bats in between that, it might not be appealing right now, but as these players don't get the exact jobs they want, it may become more appealing. Come here, if you're going to be a 4th, 5th outfielder on any team, why not join a team that has championship aspirations, realistic championship aspirations? So, anything could happen. I would say that the smoke's starting to increase, and I certainly wouldn't be shocked if something went down as early as today, this weekend. And
an emergency podcast this weekend.
yeah. Everyone keep your phones on. We might have that emergency podcast call, and we might have an emergency podcast for Zach Wheeler signing as well. The talk out of Zach yesterday was. It feels like it could be. Nobody's going to come right out and say it, but you hear from Zach that it could happen anytime. Dombrowski has indicated that they'd really like to get this done by opening day. So again, there's a lot of. I think fans should be cautiously optimistic that some of these things are going to start happening, and it could be sooner rather than later.
Yeah, well, make sure you're following along with John. He's at 2008 Phils with a Z on Twitter. You can also follow our show account at PHLY_Phillies. John's been cranking out some awesome content down in Clearwater. Now, John, what does the weekend hold for you down in sunny, beautiful Florida? Are you going to be at the ballpark both days? Are you taking a little bit of time before the full squad reports on Monday? What's in store for you this weekend?
Come on, Jamie. I stay on my grind. Down here. I'm going to be at the ballpark both days. We'll have more footage, maybe some interviews, and then as you mentioned, full squad on Monday. Should be a great time. And then we'll really see some things start picking up, and we should have some great sights and sounds for everyone. So stay tuned.
Yeah, make sure you're reading John's work, allphly.com. John, we appreciate the time. Have a great time this weekend, and we will talk with you on Monday when the full squad reports to spring training.
Later.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Renee. Take care.
Sitting at Frenchie's in the ballpark.
Oh, my gosh.
That's living, baby. So awesome job by John. His first story from camp was up on allphly.com. Yeah, great Twitter content. People are just loving to see, mitts popping and guys throwing balls around the
And he's
ballpark.
giving you from morning all the way through the day, lots of updates and videos and images that you can check out. So definitely make sure to give him a follow and see all the fantastic work John's been doing and give us insight into what it's like in Clearwater. I feel the warmth. I hear the baseballs hitting the mitts and the bats cracking. I can hear the spikes on the concrete. We'll be there sooner than later, but John right now is holding down the fort tremendously. So love to see it.
All right, before we get to Guess That Swing, 2 things we got to hit on before we get there. I know you want to talk about the A's announcer who made some history in baseball. But first, Rob Manfred yesterday. I thought this was pretty interesting. I've brought it up before, whether or not there should be a free agent signing period where you put a deadline on these things, because it is weird. All major league clubs have reported to camp, yet Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, Matt Chapman, Cody Bellinger, a list of, there's 10 or 12 names out there that are fairly substantial. And I don't know if a deadline or a time period's the right thing. Maybe a salary floor is more appealing to me than, say, like a free agent period. But I did think it was interesting yesterday that Rob Manfred announces not only is he done in 2029, but his quote was, "We would prefer to have a free agency signing period, ideally in December, with a deadline." I see where he's coming from because this is weird, but it's also weird to have to make a decision by a certain date. Like the other sports don't do that. The other sports, the moves happen right away, and it's exciting 2-3 day period where you see big names signing here and there. Baseball's not that, but I think putting a deadline on it might be a little too strict. But I like where he's coming from thought-wise.
Yeah, I think the thought makes sense. The execution needs some tweaking because with spring training, a lot of teams are looking to kind of wait and see what they've got now and then reevaluate to see what pieces they need to adjust or if they need to add in to the roster at all. So I feel like there's, you want to find a way to make it more confined without limiting teams' abilities to have the flexibility to really analyze for what they feel is best. Because otherwise it feels rushed. If it's like, oh, they've got to be signed by this time. Now you're just making a decision just because there's a deadline versus making decisions that you legitimately think are going to help your team.
So if he's saying it publicly, I think it's already been discussed at length
must be
behind doors. And the MLBPA, might fight against that because it might not be in the player's best interest. We'll see if anything comes of it, but I did think it was interesting. He noted that yesterday. Now, yesterday, the Oakland/Vegas/Vagabond Athletics did something good and cool. And they made history in baseball. Renee, you can take it from here.
Yeah,
but very cool to see.
In the midst of all the mess happening around the Oakland A's, trying to figure out, of course, where they're going to be playing in the future. Right now, they're dealing with the lease extensions, discussions all around that. Listen, this week, we're not only getting history made with Caitlin Clark, congrats to her on becoming the highest scoring ever D1 women's basketball player for Iowa. We're also getting history in baseball as well. Jenny Kavnar became the first female lead play-by-play voice in Major League Baseball history. It's 2024, and this is the first time we're finally getting a female that is going to be the play-by-play voice across the league. So the A's may be the Z's when it comes to their lease extensions discussion and playing in Vegas, but they are doing something right, and a huge positive that Jenny Kavnar got the nod and is going to be able to be the first. So congrats to Jenny as a trailblazer. I love to see women in sports doing fantastic things to help make the way for other women in sports. So that was great to see from the Oakland A's.
Here in Philadelphia, I think Kate Scott was the second play-by-play announcer in NBA history for a female. So we know it firsthand here, and Kate does a great job. So it's cool to see baseball doing that. You saw your first, who was it? Head manager. I think it's the Marlins system. The first female manager in the minor league system. You're seeing it more and more. So good stuff all around there. Great job by the Athletics. We'll see wherever the hell they play in the future.
Exactly. Something to add before we get to Guess That Stands, because allegedly Tyler, and we missed it here, Tyler is giving people a sneak peek of Guess That Stands. But
I was trying to do something and I hit the wrong button. I forgot to hit preview.
We didn't see it, luckily. And
something else that wasn't seen was deferred contract options. I just want to throw this out there before we wrap up for today, because Brian Cashman did come out and say that Shohei Ohtani never offered the Yankees a deferred contract option. He was saying that in an interview on Talking Yanks, that the Yankees never were given that chance. So interesting enough, because that deferred option was designed largely in part because of Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani was a big part of figuring out what that financial plan was going to be for the $2 million and everything else deferred. And so Cashman was saying that's like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I can't imagine how you propose a contract like that with all these deferrals, but it was never proposed to us. So interesting enough, because Ohtani never brought the money talks to the Yankees the same way he did the Dodgers. So, hey.
Yeah, he wanted to be out west.
He clearly made it known where he wanted to be.
Closer to home. I don't think that was very much up for debate. I think he was always going to be a Yankee.
That the Yankees are just a little
Juan
sour
Soto
grapes.
was always going to be a Yankee. And
it's some frustration of like, wait a minute, you didn't give us that chance.
Yeah.
What about us? So,
all right. Now, some of you in the chat may have already seen it, but we did not because our television is down today. Today's Guess That Swing, Tyler, difficulty scale.
Here
the last two have been tough, Derek Hall and Cody Clemens.
I will tell you that today's difficulty scale is less than the last two.
Okay.
I would not consider it easy.
So like
okay,
an 8?
like a 6.5, 7?
Yeah, I'd probably say a 7 or maybe an 8.
All right.
It's not easy.
You might as well put it up because on the delay
it's
you.
there.
Oh, okay.
Everybody can
still
see
hasn't
it.
come up on my YouTube.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
One day you'll see it.
Wait, I feel like we just did this one. Oh, here we go.
That's a right-handed hitter, right?
I'm
not sure.
Is it a lefty and his back is to
You
us?
did not just do this one. The one you did yesterday looks very similar,
No,
but
it
it's
literally
not.
looks so similar to Derek Hall.
It's a righty. Because the left hand is
on
on the bottom of the bat. It's a righty.
I will say this. This is a switch hitter.
Ah, son of a.
Who is
Frickin' A.
in this pose
right-handed.
hitting right-handed.
Yes. Okay. Ooh, a switch hitter. A little hint. A switch hitter
I will
hint.
gladly take a hint.
We've done.
Okay. So he's hitting right, but it means he's really a lefty. Looks similar build.
Is that a left elbow guard? No, I don't. Is that an elbow guard?
Yeah, I feel like I see some lines in
This
there.
is a tough one. A switch hitter.
Okay, in the chat, we're seeing various things. We're seeing Hunter Pence. We already did Hunter Pence, right?
Yes, and Hunter Pence was not a switch
forgetting
hitter.
who we did and didn't do. Rodolfo Castro, Carlos Santana. We did Cody, Galvis. We did Shane already. Polanco, J-Rawl. We did J-Rawl. Oh, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna go all in.
You're firing first?
I think I'm gonna fire first.
Wow.
I think. Oof. Okay, wait, let me look at the picture again. Okay, you know what? Sure. Tyler,
right.
I'm texting you.
I'm texting you too. I just had to confirm somebody was a switch hitter.
Oh, jeez. Actually, now, let me.
All right, Tyler. Answers coming in. My confidence scale is
0.5.
My confidence is decent only because I think this guy was a better left-handed swing. And I think this right-handed swing.
Wait.
Okay, so Jamie's answer's locked.
All right, I'm in. You said you were going to beat me, and then you didn't.
Okay. First of all, I almost texted you and Tyler, which I didn't want to do.
I almost forgot this guy was a switch hitter, Tyler.
All right. Renee's answers, and you guys did give different answers.
Oh, gosh, no.
So I will say this. There was a lot of people in the chat saying Freddie Galvis. That is incorrect.
Rodolfo
a lot of people
Castro?
saying
Wait, excuse me?
Freddie Galvis is incorrect. A lot of people in the chat.
I guess Renee's wrong.
We're saying
dang.
Cesar Hernandez in the chat. That is also
Rodolfo
I was
incorrect.
considering Cesar.
Jamie's answer was Carlos Santana. That is also incorrect.
Wait. I know the backup answer. Polanco.
You guys can come together for one more answer as a team.
Okay.
He looks too thick to be Cesar.
The answer was not said once in the chat.
Okay,
Oh,
never
man.
mind.
Were they a regular player?
No.
Wow,
Ah,
way to just
shit.
throw. You know, I felt pretty confident about my answer today because I felt like I saw Galvis's hair in the image, and then you just, Galvis is wrong. Okay.
Cesar wasn't a switch. No,
Dang
he
it.
wasn't. Greg Dobbs wasn't a switch.
yeah,
And I think that's too thick for Dobbs.
Yes. Cesar Hernandez was a switch hitter.
He does
Yeah, I
have
thought
a,
he was.
He was.
He does have. Yeah, he was. He does
Steve
have
Garrison
some
in the
thickness
chat
to
said he
him.
wasn't. But yes, he was a switch hitter.
Well, crew,
Damn.
that hurts,
This
man.
is really. I'm
like
really
no
racking
one
my
said
brain.
anything correct.
Nope.
No one in the
Jeez
chat.
Louise.
Not a
All
single
failing.
correct answer.
We all suck, guys. We can do this.
It's not Edmundo
Castro,
Sosa's
I felt
not a
like.
switch. Stop.
Player's not currently on the team.
He's not currently on the team.
This is like real dark days, like sicko 2016
What
Phillies
about-
roster.
He was on those sicko bad teams. Yes,
Dang it.
you are correct.
Okay, wait. I'm doing some digging.
I need one answer. We got to get out of here. It's already 12:10. I know we started late, but we got to get moving.
We already did Abreu, right?
Abreu wasn't a switch hitter.
And he was not a switch hitter. Okay. Just, throwing it out there.
But no, I don't think we've done Abreu.
Oh, okay.
Andres Blanco?
I'm going
It
to
is
keep you
not
for a future
Andres
guess.
Blanco.
And it's too thick to be Roman.
I'll be
Quinn.
honest. I genuinely don't know if Abreu qualifies as 2006 or not.
It might have been his last year.
Yeah, that was his last year, but I don't know if it was.
Yeah, he was. It looks like he was dealt.
To
the Yankees?
All right,
Thanks.
I'm
Just
out.
continue to
Just put us out of our misery.
Yeah, because now everything I'm considering
All
is
right,
wrong.
here's your answer. This guy could fly, couldn't hit. It's Roman Quinn.
I just said he looks too thick to be Roman Quinn.
The picture always looks slightly different.
Roman Quinn was one of the most injury-bitten
Wow.
players, just like
Dave said no
ever.
one leaves.
he never could just stay healthy to get a real crack at a season. It's a shame. He could fly.
Wow.
Roman
Wow,
Quinn.
wow.
I still follow him on Instagram for some reason.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Adorable
look like
family.
he's
How's he
that.
doing?
Pretty good. He's a
That's
full-time
good.
dad now.
Good for him.
No,
Yeah.
look at you
Really
guys,
cute
Instagram
kids.
friends.
I think they live in Florida.
Aw.
Yeah.
Jaime and Roman.
Yeah, I follow pretty much way too many athletes.
Well,
yeah.
oh my Lord.
That was a tough one. Roman Quinn. Damn.
That was hard. Yeah, you guys in the chat, Steven, CMC, Randy, Jersey Kev, Ray, Rick. We appreciate all of you guys for failing with us. And we tried, guys. We tried. We did update our countdown, by the way, as we wrap up, because we are 26 days away. You know what that's for, Jamie? Don't check your countdown your
Our
countdown
trip.
app.
Our
boards.
trip.
Huh?
Our trip?
Yeah, our trip. 26 days until we're in Clearwater, 41 days until opening day. So
Love it.
although we may have failed in Guess That Stance as a team, we're getting closer to fun days as a team.
All right, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. Have a great weekend. We will be back Monday at 11 a.m. where
Woo.
the full squad reports to spring training, even though the majority of guys are already there. For Renee Washington, Tyler Zulli, I am Jamie Lynch. Thanks for hanging out here on the PHLY Phillies podcast. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll see you on Monday.
We all silly like the mayor.